So first of all, welcome to Open Source India 2020 Meet. So I'm Raghavan Singh Dikit, Senior Solution Architect at Impetus Technologies. I have around 15 years of experience on working on different enterprise grade product and projects, right? I also worked on various open source initiatives as well. Some of them listed here in the slide like Nirvana, which is basically a blockchain framework. Fire, which is healthcare interoperability platform, and Veloculus, which is healthcare IoT platform. And there was one more like Appies, which is basically mobile habit application development platform. So I worked on various open source applications as well, and being associated with Open Source India from a long time. But today's, as Mukul has provided the details, I will be talking about enterprise cloud migration, and we'll be discussing about hybrid versus multi-cloud. So before going into detail, right, on a cloud aspect, one thing I would like to share, right, what the actual data is from enterprises perspective, right? So you might be aware about that 50% of Fortune 500 companies listed in 2000 are gone, right? So they are no more in the Fortune 500 list. And due to the recent COVID-19 pandemic, right? So there is a Gartner predictions like global IT spending to decline by 8% in 2020, right? The point here is sharing this like there are disruptions, right, which is across the industry, which is impacting enterprises aspect of providing the solutions, right? And this disruptions required some responses to take care from enterprises perspective, right? And the common solution is digital transformation, right? So we can utilize the technology in the best possible way, right? Enterprises has to look more in the aspect. So though digital transformation was also in a radar for enterprises perspective before even COVID-19 pandemic or so, but this has really given a importance of it, a need of an hour now is the digital transformation. Similarly, there is a more predictions regarding the cloud perspective, right? So how cloud is going to help in this digital transformation perspective, right? So there are predictions like the current market of $177 billion is going to be $356 billion by 2025, right? So which is a compound annual growth of 15.8%. This is anticipated in next 5 years or so from cloud perspective. So it's coming out like cloud is going to play important role in this digital transformation journey for enterprises. Now, if we talk about enterprises, right? So from enterprises perspective, going through this transformation is not an easy thing, right? They have a lot of things in aspect to take care. So if they have their own existing system, right? So if they plan to migrate into the cloud also, so there is a migration timeline. What will be the expected timeline? What will be the cost required, right? So cost aspect is also there, right? What is the capital cost is required? What will be the operational cost to make it right? What will be the return of investment? Those things enterprises need to take care, right? And they also need to consider various compliance and security perspective, right? A lot of enterprises are working on a healthcare or different domains where they are going through a lot of compliances in place, right? Even while migration, if there is any downtime, something, right? So what that downtime will be, right? Along with what are the risks associated with while migration, right? For the data perspective, data either on race, data either on a move, right? So that all aspect are there. What will be the control they have as and when they migrate to the cloud, right? They will be having a full control or not, right? What will happen to the legacy system? Right, that is also a kind of a question that need to take care. What will happen to their technology debt that they have, right? How it is going to address it, not, right? And their existing main power, right? The people and the process they have. So that is also an important aspect to make them successful, right? The people, process, skills needs to adopt those things from transformation perspective. What are the required training, maintenance support, what will be there, right? So overall, their objective, enterprises perspective, what the objective they have, and it is going to be aligned with the cloud strategies. So from enterprises perspective, there are many things which they need to address with this perspective, right? And then question comes of why cloud? Why only cloud is going to serve their need? Do we have something else to take care on their journey of migrations, right? So there are multiple reasons for it, right? And some of them listed here like agility, so which gives time to market for new use cases, right? So what all use cases they can take care. So that is really time to market for enterprises perspective. Agility now has given all new dimensions to all the business. So if you take some really good examples of all the successful business, whether it's Uber or something, you can figure out what the time to market they enter, right? So they really hit the market at the right time. And from cloud aspect perspective, they have a lot of offerings, right? Whether it's a platform as a service or software as a service, infrastructure as a service, right? So these offerings also provides the agility, right? You can quickly use what is required. There's no need to reinvent the things again, right? Cloud also provides elasticity, which is basically scalability, right? So as there are multiple offering services available from cloud aspect, so many of them provide auto scaling, which can be taken care as per load current into the system, right? Infrastructure can grow, sync dynamically, right? Compute, storage, different things can grow independently, right? There is no tightly coupled the way it is required. So a lot of those things has been provided in terms of elasticity in the cloud offerings. And definitely last point is affordability, right? So pay per use is the cloud primary offerings, right, for all the services. And on top of it, there are also a lot of best practices as well, right, in terms of offerings, what all we comes up, deployment model also we come up, right? We will be discussing in detail in a hybrid and multi-cloud aspect as well, but the cost is also an aspect which can be further optimized as well on the pay per model perspective as well. There are multiple things, as I said, like for enterprises to look into the cloud side, right? And even in the deployment model, so they have a lot of things to consider it, right? So we have the various leading cloud providers like AWS, GCP, Azure, right? You might be familiar with that, right? So we have public cloud available, private cloud enterprises can look into, right? Hybrid cloud is also one of the offering which enterprises now very aggressively looking for. We will discuss in detail what this hybrid cloud is. Community cloud is also one of the aspect, but that is not applicable to all the enterprises. If we have something, a objective to meet, right, where there are association of enterprises they would like to, right, so they can go with a community cloud as well. But primarily in today's sessions, we'll be discussing about hybrid cloud and multi-cloud. Let's move hybrid cloud. So first of all, let's discuss what is hybrid cloud is. So hybrid cloud is basically a orchestration between on-premises private cloud and your public cloud, right? So this combination of this known as hybrid cloud, right? So now what all things comes within hybrid cloud, right? So there has to be a connectivity between public and private cloud, right? So that is required. And if you have the private cloud, right, on-premises thing, so that also gives a cloud cost reduction. So that is also one of the different view to from cost perspective, right? So you can control at least the cost which is going to have from the cloud services. So that can be controlled. From public and private cloud, you can use the best of breed, right? So if something is really good in private cloud perspective, which is going to serve your enterprise objective and need, so that can be considered from private cloud. And if something is really good on public side, so that you can use it, right? And same time, right, suppose if you would like to try some new flow or new use cases and new offerings in your enterprises, right, so you can quickly implement those applications. Proof of concept can be implemented, pilot can be run it out, right, using the public cloud services. And later on, as and when you are ready for a production grade applications, you can plan either public or private cloud is. But this hybrid cloud also empowers that kind of an arrangement. And importantly, from hybrid cloud perspective, data lifecycle management, right? So many of the enterprises, they are not looking for to go for their data availability on the public cloud, right? Due to certain reasons on compliance also, right? So that can also be very much planned in the hybrid cloud, right? So they can have their required data on-premises infrastructure, right? And the required other functions can be exposed to the public cloud, right? And other aspects of data lifecycle management, backup, whether it's a backup or archive, that can also be managed very well between public and private cloud. So these are all things which comes within hybrid cloud, right? I have given some examples here as well, right? So it will help you to understand what all things can be a part of hybrid cloud, right? So the first example itself said, right, data storage at private cloud on-premises system for security and compliance perspective, right? And utilization of the public cloud for all other services or functions which you would like to implement, right? So this can be one of the example for hybrid cloud, right? And another aspect can be legacy system on private cloud, right? In utilization of a public cloud services for additional features on applications. So that can also be done, right? So if some enterprises already have some legacy systems and applications and data, so that cannot be transferred over the time, right, quickly. So there will be a transitions required to consider everything. So in that kind of arrangement can also be done with hybrid cloud. So these are a couple of examples, and one more here, which gives an architecture as well. So here is a distributed availability group, right? So here, if you can see in the diagram, right, so there is a SQL server which is also deployed into corporate data center as well as the AWS cloud, right, under VPC, and they are under distributed availability group, right? So in that case, the data synchronizations between cloud and on-premises data goes asynchronous data transfer, right, through AWS Direct Connect services, right? And there are replica in the cloud as well, and as well on the corporate data center. So such kind of an example can be used from hybrid cloud perspective, right? Just post your questions as you have. We will be taking care at the end of the sessions, right? Now let's quickly jump into the multi-cloud, right? So multi-cloud, I would like to emphasize many of the people make having confusions in considering multi-cloud and hybrid cloud. Even some of the blogs or discussion says hybrid cloud is a subset of multi-cloud only, right? So there are a lot of discussion debates goes on, right? But from understanding perspective, you can consider multi-cloud is basically just a combination of more than one public cloud provider, right? So if infrastructure services are more than one public cloud, you can consider as a multi-cloud. That's the simplest way to understand it, right? And what all things comes up with this multi-cloud, right? So first thing is you can avoid lock-in with one single cloud provider, right? You have a choice to choose the which one's the best available. You can use it, right? You can reduce your risk as well, right? And you can use the really best of breed services as well. I have seen practically many of the examples where one public cloud provider has particular services really good, right, which is not available on another one. So that way also the utilization of the services can be done, right? And through the multi-cloud aspect, right, you can have your workload users anywhere. That kind of an arrangement can be done, right? And you can implement really highly available resilient environment, right? And disaster recovery, which is one of the really very common use case considering multi-cloud, right? The enterprises of really big size that they don't want to avoid any kind of any risk. So this disaster recovery can be considered with the aspect of a multi-cloud, and we can assure the maximum availability. And definitely we can deal with monopoly of one cloud platform. So this is the way. So the multi-cloud is really very promising thing. A lot of things people are talking about multi-cloud nowadays. Here also some examples, right? I have quoted a couple of examples to give an understanding, right? What all things can be done in a multi-cloud, right? What all considered as a multi-cloud, right? So even first examples talks about like if a machine learning training. So suppose if you have one cloud provider where you would like to do a data enrichment, right? So that can be done with a one cloud provider, and you can consider special scenarios if data sources are public, right? So those public data sources can be accessed and can be processed through machine learning training, and data enrichment can be done, and whatever will be the result, that can be integrated with the primary cloud provider in the system. So that can be one of the use case for multi-cloud, right? And we have done for one of the client as well, right? So this is the same use case. And disaster recovery implementation, as I took, that's a very common thing which you can implement through multiple cloud providers, right? Data backup archive policy, which is really thing as per enterprise need, as per compliance need, as per security need, right? This can also be done. We can keep the transitional data on the primary, and all the data backup and archive can be done on secondary data sources. It also gives a kind of security of data as well, right? So that can also be done. That's another use case for multi-cloud, right? Identity and access management layer, having one cloud provider and survey and services from other cloud providers. So that way it all can also be managed, right? And one important, even while explaining, I was also saying there are some services, specialized services, which is really good in some of the cloud providers, right? Which is not commonly available for other public cloud providers. So those can also be used, right? For some of the examples, like a video text content indexing you would like to do, right? So there is a one cloud provider who has a really good service for that, and that is not available with other cloud provider, right? Push notification is one simple example for that. There can be many things, right, where you can utilize your best of breed. So we discussed about hybrid and multi-cloud, right? But I would also like to share with you, like, whatever the cloud solutions we come up, whether hybrid or multi-cloud, right? There are evaluation parameters. On the basis of that, whatever the solution we come up, right, it should be getting evaluated on those parameters, right? The first primary thing is a functional, non-functional aspect, right? So as in when you come into a cloud solutions, right, SLA regarding the non-functional aspects are really important to meet, right? What are the availability you are committing in, right? What scalability you would like to maintain in as per the expected load, right? What the performance you're looking for, how you are going to manage the disaster recovery, right? What will be the data integrity, what is the security aspect, how you will be handling the threat management. So those things should be very well written down, thought of, and planned, right, in the cloud solutions, right? So those things should not be avoided, like if the client is not asking to you, but in your solution, those should be really explicitly coming out with a proper SLA, because they matter a lot, right? If you're trying to change something in availability perspectives, it may change your other solution aspect or so, right? So just for an example, designing through serverless, right, or uh, microservices or other aspect, right, they may change some of the aspect from your non-functional perspective, right? So you need to be very careful about this non-functional aspect and functional aspect as well, whether it's application features, transactional data, where you're going to store it, like how you're going to manage your authentication authorization in the system, right? Is the enterprise is looking for some audit, how historical data is going to be stored, if some certification is required, if some reporting is required, at what level of governance is expected, right? So these all things should be taken care proactively as and when you design your solutions, right? Other than that, there are some certain parameters, right, which I would like to quickly walk you through. As in when you design any system on hybrid or multi-cloud, just consider those things. So first thing is computing itself, right? So even if you go for computing and considering multiple cloud, right, or either public or private cloud, right? So there are multiple aspects, whether it's a managed instance, you need edge computing, you need serverless, right? Because they also have their own aspect, right? So this also needs to be considered in evaluations, right? What the level of storage and database you're looking for, whether it's structured data, non-structured data, what is the volume of data, right? What the variety of the data that you're looking for, those all things need to be considered, right? Do you need a data lake, right? Do you have some archival policy in place or not, right? So those all things need to be consideration while designing your database in storage. Infrastructure networking, this is really important, right? As and when if you are planning to communicate between private cloud and public cloud, so how this gateways communication is going to be, right? What VPN is required, right? Do you need some VPN tunneler for that, right? Virtual network, what all is required, right? Their access restrictions, so that all networking infrastructure is also going to play an important role as one of the evaluation parameter for your cloud solutions. Other aspects are application services, right? So on top of this compute, infrastructure, storage, what all services do you need it? Like whether it's analytics perspective, right? Do you need real-time analytics, right? Do you need batch analytics, right? What will you want to deployment more tools, right? So there are various continuous integration and continuous deployment tools in the pictures, right? So how you're going to integrate with your solutions that also need to be thought of and utilized properly, right, in your solutions. This application layer is also going to be your one of the evaluation parameters. And top of it, right, what the management governance is needed by enterprises, right? So what all monitoring and logs that you have, right, not only from the development perspective, but from the enterprises perspective, what all actually they would like to monitor it, right? So from infrastructure monitoring perspective, application even monitoring perspective, right? What are the usage reports you see, your end users usage report that you would like to see. There has to be configurations of important alerts, notifications, right? Infrastructure, if it is growing or getting down, so that kind of alert also needs to be coming up, right? So you can have a proper management and governance on the infrastructure and applications you are running into the cloud systems. The next aspect is identity, security, compliance perspective, right? Again, these are important aspect. What authorization, authentication you are dealing with, right? What are the roles, privileges, right? It needs to be provided. I have seen, right, while starting working into the cloud solutions, so there were things which were not done in a proper way in terms of providing privileges to the access or so, or they can be misused, right? So this is also really important aspect, right? The access has to be given properly. And security, proper level of security enforcement, that also needs to be planned and done, right? Now, so this were the like aspect we discussed about what hybrid cloud is, right, and what multi-cloud is. And I would like to just sum up with the final things, right. So, what are the guidelines, right, from cloud solutions perspective, right? The first of things I would say, non-functional aspects needs to be taken care very carefully, right? Whether enterprises clients are asking for that or not, but they needs to be come up very explicitly with proper SLA. And the cloud solutions primarily they are very much needed, right? And other guidelines like cost efficient cloud, right? So cost is also two aspect, right? One is operational cost and the capital cost which is required to implement those solutions. That should also be really coming up very well, right? So what the cost is going to be for entire solution, right? And we can optimize as well, right? So like initiating a infrastructure on cloud is primarily easy, right? You can quickly initiate your infrastructure, but those resources needs to be optimized as per enterprise load, the number of users they have, number of requests coming up, what is the data size, volume is there, right? But the resources has to be optimized, so at least the cost can be managed accordingly, right? So as I said, like storage perspective, right? What the compute expectations are there, right? What is storage cost are there, right? Serverless also comes up a lot of offerings now, right? They provide a lot of compute aspect in serverless, right? And basically serverless is where you don't need efforts for management perspective, right? They manage all the things. So, right, it's just utilizing those services. So like AWS provide Aurora database as a serverless, right? So similarly, you can think of what all compute and storage you need, and you need serverless or dedicated instances, right? Or what are the load is going to be, what the cost is going to be in serverless on dedicated instances. So those kind of things need to be thought of, right? And we also need to think from enterprises perspective, right? If they have really new use cases to onboard, so they should be really onboarded, right? So that use cases onboarding should be very seamless. So this is also should be the primary aspect and should be taken care, right? All what are the enterprises standards are, right? So each enterprise is unique, right? They have their own unique business offerings, right? Their compliance and security needs, they have their own standards of operating it, right? So those needs to be taken care. And finally, minimize the vendor login as much as you can do that. Even in the single cloud provider, you can implement the solution in a way, right? So those direct dependency can be reduced. There are many frameworks like and even the services also provided by cloud provider itself, which can help you to minimize your vendor lock-in. So that can also be planned in your solutions. These are the general guidelines which should be considering it, right? This is the final slide from my side, right? So we discussed on multi-cloud and hybrid cloud, right? And as I said, this is really buzzing as well from the cloud aspect. Multi-cloud, a lot of the people are looking for, right? So multi-cloud use cases I intentionally shared, right? Because I have seen even my discussions with various folks inside my company and other companies as well, right? There are many confusion in multi-cloud, and it's not as something like everybody should go for a multi-cloud, right? It has to be what the use case you are looking for, right? Is really right fit for the multi-cloud or not, right? Otherwise, in multi-cloud perspective, security, performance, those aspects will be really challenged to manage it, right? Your use case really should be a right fit for multi-cloud. So for the transformation perspective, from enterprises perspective, enterprise migration from their existing system to target system, there are many things needs to be taken care, right? So from existing system perspective, what are the legacy system they have? What are the old technology they have, right? What different data storage we have? What are the data sources they have, right, in the existing system? And then what the target they are looking for. This is basically their cloud strategies, right? What all strategies they are looking for, right? Do they are looking for a cloud first options or not, right? And ultimately, what is the time and resource available, because everything whatever is going to be an output will be a function of time and resources, right? So this should be planned accordingly. So as I have explained, like in the multi-cloud case, it is case to case where you can apply for multi-cloud, right? Similarly for hybrid cloud as well, right? They are buzzing word, enterprises are looking for it, but there is no unique thing which can be applied to a unique solution which can be applied to each and every enterprises, right? So just want to summarize my talk with this thing, like each business is unique, each enterprise is unique, their business is unique, right? So their transformation to the cloud is also going to be a unique thing, right? So we have a lot of technical aspect. We have the cloud as an enabler for them, a catalyst for them, but they have to be planned very well.